Welcome. I'm Catherine Colleen. Thank you for joining me today. We'll be doing a yin session for hikers and runners. If you like to run, you like to hike, I certainly do. We can end up very tight through the hamstrings, through the quads, through the calves, through the ankles and the feet. And we can also get very used to a very forward motion, which we need to balance with rotation and extension through the hips and opening them up. So that's what this yin session will do today. We're going to be working on the joints and the ligaments that maybe need a little bit of opening up and some of the muscles that could use a bit of a stretch as well as a result of that. We've got lots of props today. We have our blocks. I'm sitting on a block now. You might want to sit on a block. We have a sandbag. We have a strap. I have a TheraBand. TheraBands can be particularly useful prop for yoga, although not a traditional prop. I've found tons of uses for them, and we'll see if they come in handy today. This is Maxwell, who'll be joining us today for this yin session, mostly in a helpful way. We'll see. If you've got your own dog at home, feel free to let them join in. Dogs bring a wonderful energy to your yoga session and a little bit of fun, so we don't take ourselves too seriously. We're going to start by setting up the breath. Let's take a breath in, 3 count, and out. Now let's breathe in for 4 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, and out. Now let's try in for 5, and out for 5. If you like, you might try today making sure that your exhales sound like an ocean. And or any other pranayama that you enjoy. Now, for everything today, as in every class that we do together, these poses are just a suggestion. If at any time you feel like your body wants a different pose, then you should take a different pose. We learn to listen to our bodies if they want something different and let them guide us. Today we'll be moving through about 10 poses or so to give us the kind of rotation and hip openers and leg stretches that we might enjoy as runners and hikers. So we'll get started in child's pose. Now for child's pose, you might like to use your blocks, and I'll show you how as I gently move Max over to the side. There we go. We'll take knees wide, toes together in the back. You might use your blocks like this with your hands on them. This will also give you a stretch through the shoulders. Or if you prefer, you can put your hands on your mat. Either way, I think I'll enjoy the shoulder stretch. Forehead to the mat. Now being a yin session, we're going to hold each pose for about 5 minutes. We want to support our poses and the reason for support is because then we might be able to go a little deeper into the pose. Notice the sense of letting go a little bit more. And a little bit more. Relaxing into the pose. While you're in child's pose, you can try turning your head to the left or to the right. Remembering the breath. Notice the way that this pose feels in the knees, in the hips, in the spine, in the shoulders, in the hands. In the shoulders. You might release your blocks, or you might add blocks if you didn't have them before. And continue our child's pose. You can use a block under the pelvis to support you there. A block or a sandbag under the chest, if that feels good. Returning to the breath. One more breath here. And on the exhale, see if you can sink just a little lower. Coming up gently. We'll sit down. And take the right knee on top of the left knee. You can have your feet out straight. You can tighten them up a bit. Do what feels good depending on how much stretch you're looking for today. Now for this one, we're going to take the hands up and we're going to go forward. Now this is a fairly intense stretch as intended. You may feel it in the hips. You may use your blocks to support you with your hands, or you can put a block on your knee and use that as support. You can turn your block up this way. And as we hold this pose for a few minutes, you may find that you need to move your props so that if you're ready to go deeper into any particular breath, returning always to the breath. It may feel intense, and being a yin session, intense feeling is expected. Just be with it. But don't push into pain. Intense feeling, okay. Pain, no. Let your body lead you. If you want more intensity, you can put your blocks away, move your hands out. You can put your hands behind you. Take a bind. Let's do one more breath here. Come up. We'll switch the legs. This time the right knee is on the bottom, the left knee is on the top. Again, you can have the feet out to the side or in further. Play around with it and see what feels better for your body today. Again, the use of our props, be it sandbags or blocks. and take it forward. Support yourself in whatever way feels best. Again, we're going for potentially intense sensations, but definitely not pain. Returning to the breath. Notice the difference between the right side and the left side in this pose. Between the last pose we were in, which was right leg on top, and this pose, which is left leg on top. We are organic beings. Often there is difference between the two sides. Just notice it. And come on up. We will gently unfold ourselves. Just take the legs straight for a moment. And for our next pose, we're going to come into a wide leg forward fold. I'll turn this way. And for this one, I'm going to grab a strap. This particular strap has 2 loops on the ends. It's nice because I can use it to roll up my yoga mat, but I can also use it to help out some of these postures as well. Props are a wonderful way to experience something a little different in the posture. Props are your friends. So for this pose, we would take as wide as your legs want to go today. For me, I'll go as wide as the strap will go today. And I will use this to just pull myself forward a little bit. Now you can also grab your toes or the ball of the foot, the side of the foot or the top. You can grab the ankles, the shins, wherever feels comfortable. Not the knee. Be gentle there. And go forward. Now, in terms of supporting your body, you can do several things. You can take a sandbag and your blocks. Play a little Tetris with your blocks. And see how you'd like to support yourself with this. Adjust your props as needed. And you may not bend all the way down to your props. That's okay. Kind of nice knowing they're there. Returning to the breath. If this becomes uncomfortable on the lower back, choose a different pose or come up. We don't want to stress the lower back too much. And as we bend forward, try to have a flat back. So if you're feeling it in the lower back, come up, straighten up, and come back down a little bit flatter. Adjust yourself if you can go wider as we hold this pose. If you want to go lower or more narrow or higher. Notice how this pose feels in the legs, hamstrings, certainly. Also notice the difference that it makes if you contract the abs. And if you seek to push out with your chest straight in front of you. We'll bring this position in. Counter this with a little bit of bound angle. So for bound angle, we're going to bring the soles of the feet together in front of you. As always, you can have your feet further out or further in, depending on what feels best for you today. Adjust the sits bones. Sit up nice and tall, and then fold it forward. Again, you might make a pile of props for yourself. returning to the breath. If your thoughts wander, bring them back to the breath. Adjust your props when it feels right. We'll do just a few more breaths here. If it's too intense in the lower back, just sit back up straight, straighten yourself up, and imagine reaching forward with the heart. See if that makes a difference. You can also take any other pose as well. Listen to our bodies. Notice how this pose feels in the legs where you might expect it, but also how this pose feels in the shoulders, in the neck. Two more breaths here. Come up gently. And rearrange your props. Let's come down into child's pose, but this time we'll take a twist. Now, for this particular version of child's pose, you might go wide with knees wide, toes meeting in the back, or you might go child's pose with the knees together. Whatever feels right for your body today. And as we go forward, we'll take the right arm out to the side, thread it under the left arm for revolved child's pose. Now, when you do this, you might want to bring the hips forward. So it's a little bit more almost of a take on puppy. But it helps to get that right shoulder down to the ground. Now, in terms of support, if you'd like to feel that in the shoulder, you can put a block under the left hand. You can put a block or a sandbag under the chest. Experiment with different prop configurations. See how they feel. Remember to adjust them as you're ready to go deeper into a pose, if you are. If not, that's okay too. Returning to breath. You can try this pose with knees wide if you've been narrow previously. You may find you can get a little deeper into it. You might deepen the rotation by opening the ribs up to the left and looking under the arm. Let's lift up. Take the same thing on the other side. This time we'll take the left arm up and then bring it through, thread the needle. Bring the left arm under the right. Maybe a bit of rotation, opening the ribs up to the right. Supporting yourself in any way that feels best. Maybe noticing a little bit more release with each breath. You might try extra rotation on the inhale. Releasing on the exhale. One more. Noticing any differences between the left and right sides as we come up. We'll come up to table. Maybe stretch the toes a little bit. Then bring the right knee forward for half pigeon. We're going to be coming into sleeping swan. Now the right heel is right at the right hip. Or if you want something more intense, you can have your right shin horizontal across the mat and come down for that. Or anywhere in between. Remember, listen to your body. Gather your props, and we're going to lay forward. You might want a sandbag and or a block under the chest. Or something less. Or nothing at all. Remember, intensity is okay. Pain is not. If you find that you're putting weight on your arms, that's okay. If you like that, but it may be a sign that you need some support. Returning to breath. Another modification would be to take a block under the right sits bone. All right. Just a few more breaths here. And we'll come up to switch sides. Bring the right leg back to table. Another good opportunity to stretch the toes a little bit. And we'll bring the left knee up. Again, the left heel might be right there in the hip, or if you want something more intense, the left heel, the left shin might be horizontal across the mat. Whatever feels good for this side of your body today. The two sides can be very different. And we'll just notice that.
Hi.
Max says hi. Just notice the difference between how this pose feels on the left side here versus how it felt on the right. Not judging, just noticing. A few more breaths here. As you come up, take a little twist. Look to the back. Hello, Matt. And we will come down onto our backs. Okay, stay there. Make sure to get your props out of the way. But handy. And we'll come down. We'll take the right leg up, hug it into the chest, and bring it over for a twist. Shoulders on the ground, right arm out to the side, maybe looking to the right. Your left arm can be out to the side, or it can be resting on your knee to give it a little extra pull. Just gently though. You might choose to put a block under that knee to support it. Or if you're enjoying the intensity, maybe not. Returning to breath. All right, bring that right leg up. Straighten up, hug it into the chest, maybe out to the side a little. And switch. Right leg straightens out. Left knee comes into the chest. Maybe out to the side a little. And then the left knee comes over for a twist. You might support the knee with a prop or not, depending on how much intensity you're looking for on this side of your body today. Left arm is out to the side. Right arm is out to the side, or the right hand might be resting on the left knee. Attempting to keep the shoulders on the ground, returning to the breath. Adjust your props as necessary. You might find that bending the knee of the straight leg a little bit allows you to twist a little bit deeper into this pose. Notice how the pose feels in the neck, in the shoulders, the back. A few more breaths here. And bring that left leg back. Straightening it back to center, hugging the left knee into the chest. Maybe out to the side a little bit. And we will gather our props for fish. It's a wonderful heart opener. Now there are several ways that you might want to approach this. You can take something like a sandbag, bridge up, and put that underneath. And then scoot yourself forward. This is a wonderful way to do it. You may find that a sandbag is more comfortable than a block with the edges on it. So you sit right in front of your sandbag or a pillow of any kind. Lay back over it. You might use your bolster. If you're using a traditional yoga bolster, you can use it horizontally under the back, or you can use it vertically to really open up the heart and lay back over that. We'll attempt to have the crown on the floor. Now for the legs, you can send them out straight. You can put them in a bound angle, or you can cross them in a lotus or half lotus. Just pay attention to what feels best for your back and for your legs and for the whole balance of yourself in this pose. Your hands can be out to the side, on the belly, or even overhead. Now you'll notice if you bring the arms over the head, it's a little tougher to keep the crown on the floor. So I'm going to bring my hands down straight by my sides. Returning to breath. Noticing what feels different here. An opening through the heart. You might tuck your shoulder blades under you a little bit more. Just a few more breaths here. If your legs were straight, bring the knees up. If they were in bound angle, bring the knees up. We will come up just for a moment to remove your support props out from under you and roll back down, coming into Shavasana. Lying flat, tucking the shoulder blades under you, arms straight out to the side or on the belly. Any variation you like. You might try a sandbag or a bolster under the knees, just for extra comfort. Shavasana is your opportunity to integrate today's practice, to process whatever came up for you, or just to enjoy the quiet. We'll take Shavasana for another 5 minutes or so. If at any point Shavasana is too intense, or if you simply want something different, you might sit up or take a child's pose. When you're ready, you might give yourself a great big stretch. Arms up overhead, toes long. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, wrists and ankles. And come up to sitting. Thank you for joining me for this yin session. I hope that we have helped to relax, strengthen the joints and the ligaments and the plastic tissues of the body that we use every day for running and hiking, and give a good stretch and some rotation at the same time. If you have any thoughts, questions, or ideas, my contact information will be in the notes for this video. The light and the love and the teacher in me honors that in you. Namaste.